Joining me now, James Freeman. He's the assistant editor at the Wall Street Journal, Fox Business contributor, and co-author of his newly released book, Borrowed Time, 2 Centuries of Booms, Busts, and Bailouts at Citi.
Yes,
great
sir.
to have you with us.
Congratulations. Great to be back. Thanks, Luke.
Book. You're doing great and
appreciate it.
Love it. And recommend it to you highly.
Thank you.
Let's start with the left-wing nonsense today, and much of it centered in New York. Governor Cuomo saying the country was never that great. Hillary Clinton anointing an 11-year-old child for kneeling during the Pledge of Allegiance. The left seems to have gone, well, loony.
It's quite a pattern here. I mean, you want to say it's a gaffe, and you mentioned Mr. Cuomo's press secretary trying to clean up the mess afterwards. And maybe,
America is great. America is great.
Maybe he'll come out tomorrow and say how much he deeply regrets it. But it's a problem in the Democratic Party. This is kind of a theme here in the last 10 years of a large part of that party's leadership thinking America is not so great, whether it's Barack Obama questioning American exceptionalism or him and or Mr. Obama and Elizabeth Warren with the whole "you didn't build that" theme, basically really attacking the fabric of American business creation.
Years, we had in this country a president who kept apologizing to our allies, our friends, and enemies alike, for America. And Americans for 8 years walking around in this atmosphere of gloom and doom and negativity that had all been conjured by this president who got elected talking about hope and change, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and for Cuomo, I think it's a particular problem now as he thinks about running in 2020. The premise of his candidacy was going to be, I'm not a crazy leftist. I'm more of a moderate in the party. His
Chuck that.
Yeah, well, the idea was maybe you're going to appeal to people who don't hate America, and that's a little tougher now.
Yeah, it is hard to discern a single figure within the Democratic Party right now in any preeminent role at all who is talking about a vision that is bright and hopeful, that is something that even the most negative of the left, and that's very negative, as you know, indeed, could latch on to. There's just no sense of the future that is that any one of these candidates or luminaries who want to be candidates is articulating.
Yeah, I think there are moderates within the party who probably could give Donald Trump a very tough matchup in 2020. But you look at the...
Do you have anybody in mind?
Maybe someone like John Hickenlooper wrapping up his time as Colorado's governor. But I don't think any...
Speaking of left, by the way, do you consider Hickenlooper moderate?
We're talking on a relative basis.
I got it.
But I don't think any sort of moderate candidate is likely to get through their nomination process. And for that reason, I think Trump probably wins again in 2020, not because the whole country loves him, but because people realize that the alternative is just not acceptable.
Wait, what are your thoughts? I mean, this suddenly the fake news is really coming together as a group. The Boston Globe creating this cooperative of like-minded left-wingers to have a special day to rail against the president. Now, I must have missed something because I think they've been railing against the president every day in every way for since the day he looked like he was going to be the nominee.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it all fake news, but I think for anyone who...
You want to take... I'll take down your 3 exceptions.
No, for anyone who thinks that the media is kind of this cabal, all having abandoned objective journalism in favor of becoming adversaries of Donald Trump and thinks they're all working together to stop him, for a group of newspapers to announce on Thursday we're all going to say roughly the same thing is just remarkable.
Which they've been doing throughout.
Well, this is the other thing. I mean, who was unclear on what the Boston Globe's thinking was about Donald Trump? I'm not sure they had to let us know.
They're going to send out a memo. That will only go to 300 and some odd newspapers, apparently, rather than all newspapers. And you can count, I think, on both hands the newspapers who actually support the president of the United States right now.
Not many.
About an orthodoxy, a hidebound orthodoxy. That's what has been created on the left. They have joined with the rhinos of the Republican Party, and conservatives, are left pretty much standing alone.
Yeah, I think I don't think this is going to be effective. I'm not sure what the strategy was here. I don't think you're going to change a lot of minds with this approach.
The death of newspapers. I mean, you would think they would see that as they must think they're competing with one another rather than they're calling a truce here for the cabal. And they don't understand they're competing with technology, television, streaming, the web, and the digital universe.
Well, I think the fundamental problem is they're doing this because they think the president, in criticizing them, is somehow stifling their First Amendment rights. And I think there's a confusion that they think the First Amendment says the government isn't allowed to criticize them. And of course, that's not what it says at all. He has free speech rights just like they do. And when you look at the record, the bigger threat to the First Amendment...
I'd much rather hear from the president than them, any one of them, any day. By the way,
and he's not investigating the way President Obama did, and he's not trying to gut the First Amendment the way Hillary Clinton did with the
very good
desire to bring back Citizens United.
It's good to see, it's good to be reminded of the Obama administration's penchant for spying on journalists.
Yeah.
The Associated Press has forgotten all of that. But
you wonder why. I mean, where was the joint editorial about that, or about with this network, James Rosen? This was a very aggressive effort to go after the press.
And Eric Holder, who I understand is still musing about whether or not he wants to run for president. As with Nancy Pelosi, I just want you to know I support that idea vigorously. I don't know about you, James, but I'm one of those
I'd like to know what he thinks about the greatness of America. Maybe they should all get on the record with the Cuomo question.
The great thing about the record on all of them, the record will change and it will be revised as they wish, if experience is any indicator. I can't wait, I don't know about you, but I can't wait to see what President Trump has to say about that newspaper conference in concert on one day. He'll probably think he got a break. Only 300 of them working against him on one day.
Well, the media honeymoon has officially ended. I think we can say that for sure.
You got it. James Freeman, thanks for being here. The book is Borrowed Time. We urge you to buy it. We recommend it to you highly.